Somebody just sent me a message and I'm looking at it and I couldn't figure out what it is. It's in Jamaica. Um, it is Friday Eve and I'm so excited. I'm actually still working because it is month end close. But I don't know, for the past few months, it has been quite a struggle. And I have just learned to basically let go and let God take me there. Take me where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there. Anyway, as per usual, I was trying because there's a whole lot of things that I want to talk about. And today I was actually this morning I had a conversation with someone and I thought about making that the conversation for today, but I changed my mind because then this afternoon I was watching a video and they were talking about friendships or something like that. And I was like, oh, maybe that's what I'm going to talk about. So that's what we're going to talk about. Welcome back to Antonia's Blissful Corner, your quiet space for reflection, growth, and peace. Before we get started, because I'll be forgetting at the end, and I have it right here in front of me. Before we get started, kindly get my book, Unlocking the Introvert, a pocket guide to understanding and interacting with introverts. It is available at societyofintroverts.com, Amazon, and everywhere books are sold online. So I know I said I wasn't going to because we stopped counting at 25. But it's day 30 now, and I'm excited because I'm still doing this. And I think I'm actually going to just continue because it gives me something to look forward to. I feel as if like this is therapy for me, except except it's free, and the lady, the, the person, the person isn't responding. Anyway, here we are, and I want to talk about, um, introverts and how we make friends or how we obtain them. Now, I don't know if you've seen there memes everywhere that says introverts don't make friends, they're adopted by extroverts or something like that. And when I think about it, it is very true. It is very true. We get adopted by people. It's like it's usually an extrovert or someone who just kind of feels sorry for us. It's almost as if like, and I get it, right? Because there are times when if I'm someplace and there's someone by themselves, I feel a little, sad for them, kind of. Um, Now that I'm on my journey and now that I see my like I understand myself better and my behaviors, I can now appreciate like what looking at watching people and then saying, "Ooh, that's an introvert right there." Um, excuse me, but nevertheless, I feel like people see us and they feel bad. It's kind of like if you're at an event and like you're in a corner by yourself, basically enjoying your time. They don't know that. They just see that you're all by yourself and that you're not interacting with anyone and they're thinking, oh no, poor baby, come here, do you need a friend? That's how it feels. um and honestly, sometimes we do. That's how most of our friendships begin. We don't go looking, we are found like a penny. And extroverts collect us like rare plants. They love our calm energy, our listening ears, and that mysterious, you're so peaceful vibe, right? Because I'm usually just chill. I was saying to a colleague today that because she sent me a message on Teams and she said, it is such a pleasure to work with you. And I said, I feel the same way about you because we just laugh at frustration because what else can we do, right? I think, it's important to know how to laugh because everything cannot be taken seriously. And if it's out of your control, what you gonna do? Anyway, um, for a while, the whole thing may work. We talk, we listen, and somehow the balance feels right. But keeping those friendships, well, that's where it gets kind of complicated because as introverts, we nurture relationships differently. First of all, I love to use the word consistent, period, right? Um, and not everyone is consistent, right? We're not calling or texting every day, not because we don't care, but because our energy is currency and we spend it carefully. If I let you in, it's because you made me feel safe. You didn't force conversation. You didn't mistake my silence for disinterest. You just allowed me to be myself. I've had very few, very, very, very close friends. And when I say that, I mean like my inner circle, because I feel like the word or the term friend is used very loosely. And as I think about it, in my opinion, there are tiers to friendship. Of course, you have like like the new face, right? But as you grow older and you get to know people, then you kind of people are just placed where they belong, right? So whether it's a like let's hang out friend, or I need an ear friend, or can you help me do this thing friend, so basically different levels. We are the type Introverts are the type of people who um, people appreciate, because we can sit and we can listen to people for hours, right? But then we can also sit in silence, and we can stay, and still say that everything is fine, right? Um, I know for me, for many years, like when I look back, don't think I feel as if like I've been a friend to people, but I don't think it was reciprocated. And it's not anyone's fault but my own, right? Because I feel like it is for the individual to teach people how to treat us, right? And I'm learning that now. There, they, when I was thinking about it today, I was saying to mom, I was like, wow, like I've had three friends, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I've had acquaintances and I've had people that I've labeled friends, but the reality of it is the person who I call friend is somebody who I would let in, right? Because I'm private by nature. That's just how I am. Always have been. And I feel like I need to know that I'm safe with you before I share. Now that I'm on YouTube, I'm going to be sharing more, but I'm still, like I'm still going to gauge what I choose to share, like with the public. And that's just how I am, there are people who are okay with just blurting out their business. Like when we're in the office, I remember saying to one colleague years and years ago, I was like, if you gather 10 people in this room, everybody know your whole life, right? Meanwhile, people knew nothing about me. People knew nothing about me. I mean, if not for social media, people wouldn't even see me, because I do appreciate coming on and doing the morning messages and doing my dances and stuff like that. But I feel like when I'm friends with a person, with someone, I knew my light would. Hold on a second. My light was looking crazy. I think that might be better. When I'm friends with someone, um, I would like to think that there's a comfortableness where we're okay with just sharing. And for a moment of time, I experienced that. I experienced, having someone that I can just let my hair down and just basically share without feeling like I'm going to be judged, or, you know, feeling foolish. there, to be honest, there did come a time when I did start to feel foolish, though. That's just how it is. Now, I said a little while ago, I said that I've had three friends. And um, when as I was contemplating before coming on, I realized that none of those friendships overlapped. Um, Two of them were family, one non family. The first one was taken from me, he died. And it took me about a year to get over it. Still not over it because I was still crying. And this is years ago, 22 years ago. Yeah, about 22 years ago. And I was devastated because even though we lived miles apart, this was a cousin that lived in England. And unfortunately, he went to Jamaica and he was killed in a car crash. And I'll never forget, mommy was in Jersey at the time, and I was home alone. And it was Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. I said 23 years ago. It is 22. It was like 20. I feel like it was 22 years ago. Was it a 22 or 23 years ago? But anyway, um, it was New Year's Eve. she's talking to me from another room, and I think it's rude. I don't know why this lady tried to talk to me, but anyway, anyway, I'll never forget. They called me, my sister, my mom. I don't remember who called me, and when I answered the phone, I think my sister was crying because my sister's very emotional. So she and a drama queen. So she called. They called, and she was like, um, "Are you okay? Are you sitting down?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" "Hey, Violet Crow." And I was like, "Yes, what was going on?" Because it was late. I think it was. I can't remember if it was the New Year's Eve. I'm going to say New Year's Eve for now. If it's not, then I'll correct it later on. But it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't New Year's Eve. I'm sorry, my brain is processing. It was December 30th, so it wasn't quite the Eve yet, and it was like minutes to midnight, so it didn't quite make it to the Eve. So my sister's like, "Are you okay? Are you sitting down?" And I'm like, and I said, so then she's there crying, and then mommy came on the phone, and mommy was like, Mark died. And I was like, which Mark? And I started calling out every Mark in the world except for my Mark, because I used to call him my Mark, right? Now, Mark and I are we're cousins. We were born the same year, a month and change apart. And I asked my mom, and when Mark and I were together, we were always like this. Like we were always like this, right? And to be honest, like there are times when we didn't even talk. Like we like to sit beside each other. So whether he was visiting the States or I visited London, it didn't matter. And from time to time, because I'd be forgetting, I would ask mom, like, were we always close? And she said, from the two of you met, from my aunt visited Jamaica with him when he was a baby, we basically like became like this. And what's crazy is like we never used to talk on the phone or anything like that. It was just like that when we were together. And I feel as if like our energy was peaceful. Like it's almost as if like we brought each other some kind of peace. I can't describe it. But when I tell you that mommy said that he was gone, I cried. I cried. I think my mom said, or my sister, one of them said, "Do you want us to come over?" And I'm like, "For what?" Because my thing is, you coming over to my house isn't going to change anything. I mean, he's gone, and it took me a while to process it, right? And like I cried for days and days and days and days and days and days. And I went to England, and we're driving around in the cars. I'm like, "Oh, you're supposed to be here." And he had like his tiny group of friends also, and some of them were family. And like they knew how close we were, so everyone was mostly concerned about me, my family, because I have a large family. So a lot of people were concerned about me because they knew that we were tight, right? Because my auntie used to consider me her daughter. And so therefore, and she was to say, Mark is my brother, because she only had the one child. And that was the first like devastating friendship loss that I had. And now, we were younger, right? Um, we knew each other from, I don't remember what year we met, because I was a kid, I was a baby. But um I remember we went to England for the first time when I was about 13 or something like that. And that's just how it was, right? I was always a quiet one. My sister was always rambunctious. um but I didn't like my name to be called, like like if we're running around the house, and because we used to run around the house, and I'll never forget, my uncle used to be like, "Mark, what is the matter?" he was he was so intimidating. And now, like, now as an adult, like he might be like a slight, uh maybe like a few inches taller than I am. He has a very slim frame, but he still has that very commanding type, type energy. But I love him, and like we, for the most part, we get along. But anyway, we were close. When I tell you that when he passed, like I remember basically being on the train, being on the bus, and the tears were just flowing down. Like I couldn't control it; was just flowing down. And I remember I'd be in the office, and they would ask me like, "Why'd you come in? Why not stay home?" And I'm like, "Because if I'm home, I wouldn't have anything to do. I would basically just be sitting there, focused and basically thinking about it and playing over and over in my head." Because again, mommy lived in Jersey at the time, and it would be a while for the funeral. So what am I gonna do? So I went to the office, because at the office was another one of my favorite people who has also passed on. Her name was Joyce. Um, so anyway, when I look back at the people who came into my life and who left, Some of them, again, like, it was, well, I feel like people come and go into our lives as they should, right? As I grow older, I accept death differently, right? But it stings nevertheless. It doesn't matter how, if the person, it doesn't matter how old the person is. It doesn't matter if they were sick or whatever have you. That final goodbye is like very hurtful. But I'm grateful that I'm able to, the people who I hold near and dear. I'm grateful that I was able to share priceless moments with. I'm grateful that I was able to be a friend to them. At least I think I was. um, but anyway, I feel like one of when Mark passed away, it took me a full year. I kid you not, to get over it, because I didn't even allow. No, it took me 2 years because the first year, like after the funeral and all of that, then came Christmas and I got gifts and I didn't open those gifts. Those gifts stayed in a pile in my living room, and I'll never forget. My niece came over, and she went and she was a baby at the time, and she was while behind over, and she was trying to open one of them, and I slapped her hand, and I was like, "Don't touch that!" And I grabbed them all up, and I ran up to the room with them, and I thought to myself, "You monster!" It was like, "What is wrong with you?" And that's when I realized, yeah, we gotta stop, right? Because I remember one time mommy screaming at me, and she's like, "You need to let his spirit go." And I was like, "I'm not holding on to it." She was like, "Yes, you are." I'm like, "But I'm not." Again, I handle death differently now, but like Mark was indeed the closest person to me at the time, even from a distance. Um, and we never, we hardly spoke on the phone. But Mark used to always defend me, because, like, when mommy would speak to my aunt, and if my aunt would ask Mark, "Aren't you gonna call Anne?" "No, Anna's busy. Anna's going to school." and I appreciate that, right? Because I feel as if, like, that's the type of friend that I want. Somebody who is going to defend me the way that I would defend them. And someone who will love me unconditionally. Doesn't matter if it's um, you know, romantic. It doesn't matter if it's family. It doesn't matter if it's whatever it is. Like, I just feel as if, like, I like to be genuine, because when I meet people and I'm into them, I give them my all. Like, for me, there's no half-assing anything, right? So if if someone adopts me and I embrace the invitation to be friend, then like, we're in. For me, like, we are in, like Flynn. And so when the time comes for the separation, for whatever reason, it hurts. It really does. um Now that I'm today years old, I've realized that letting go doesn't mean I stop caring. It just means that I stop carrying the weight of what was. And so when it's time to let go of certain relationships, whether it's an acquaintanceship or a friendship, it's it's a little bit easier. It's not easier, but it's a little bit easier. One of the things that I used to say, and I think we all say it at some point, is that, people use the word friendship very loosely. It gets tossed around so easily, but I've become more thoughtful about what it really means to me, right? For me, a friend is someone who makes me feel comfortable, the kind of person that I can laugh with, cry with, or even dance in the middle of the sidewalk with without feeling embarrassed. They might side eye me at first, but then they'll be like, "What the heck?" Enjoy me. Enjoy me and being weird. um, and listen, I feel as if, like, if I cannot find that in a person, my pet turtle that I will get one day will gladly take that role on, right? Because joy doesn't require an audience, just presence. But on the serious tip, introverts, for me, in my opinion, we have tiers of friendship. Um, there's like the deep soul friend who truly gets you. And from I think I spent most of my life saying, "Oh, I just want to be understood." And when I started to understand myself, then I realized, oh, no, there's no way that someone can understand you if you do not understand yourself. And now that I am walking in my purpose and appreciating my introvert life and my introvert self, and I have basically embraced myself, flaws and all, I'm realizing that those people didn't know me because I didn't even know myself. But now that I do know myself, now I'm able to pick, choose, and refuse who I want to share my time with, right? Um, Life is short and I don't want to spend it sad. Because now that I have found joy and bliss, now don't get me wrong, not every day is happy day, right? Because this week I learned of a few deaths, and some of them brought a tear to my eyes. But life goes on, and if Miss Melissa in Jamaica that ran through Jamaica told me anything, is that is how precious and sweet life is. um, there are folks down there who have no home, right? Like literally, they are homeless. A lot of people. Thankfully, she didn't destroy Jamaica, right? But the places that were hit were devastated. But I'm sure you've seen videos on social media where some people are dancing and carrying on. But I feel like now that the dust has settled and certain places are dry, reality is setting in, and people are doing what they need to do to rebuild. But it's difficult because there are roadways that are gone, and they still, for the most part, have no electricity. But that'll be another conversation for another day. Well, let's get back to friendship. This is how the introvert brain works. We be talking about one thing, and next, we don't chasing a ball across the street. Anyway, um, so back to the tier. So they, like we have friendly acquaintance who knows, this our smile and not the story, right? Because we basically allow them to come to the door, but we sitting there talking to them at the door because they're not coming in the house. I mean, sometimes those friendships just fade, and I've allowed, because I feel like in the past I used to hang on to friendships or hang on to people. It's almost as if like I was, if someone tried to collect me, I would allow them. But now I'm realizing that I have a choice in a matter of who I want to have in my space, right? um Now that I'm keeping very busy, I realize that I spend a lot of time, I don't want to say wasted, but yeah, kind of wasted, um basically focus on things that was a waste of time, to be fair, right? Excuse me. Now, introverts don't always know how to end things. I sure don't. Not even conversations, because sometimes I'm on the phone, I'm like, oh, Jesus, it's like 3 hours. I got things. And sometimes I just don't know how to end a conversation. I'm going to work on that, though. I feel like that's going to be on my list for 2025. Because, I mean, when time, when I'm gonna say waste of time, because the thing is, it's like unless it's a productive conversation, it is a waste of time. And I'm always thinking I could have done so much in that space of time, right? I Huh? 26 years? Oh, she's telling me it's 20, that I said 2025, 2026. Thank you. She's my human fact checker. But anyway, anyway, we don't always just end things, like I'm learning how to just slowly drift. It's almost as if like I'm slow moonwalking away from person who people who don't understand me, right? Because if you're an introvert, we overthink everything. And people who are not introvert know that we overthink everything, because they'd be like, stop overthinking it. And I think to my, you can't tell somebody not to overthink, because then when you tell us to not overthink, then we're gonna think about that too, because we're thinking, but I'm not overthinking it. and then that'll be in our brain for the next 2 weeks. Lord Jesus. Anyway, the message that we didn't get back, like we didn't get back the message with the tone. I think I just lost my train of thought. Right. So sometimes we basically learn how to slowly let go, right? So sometimes if we didn't get a message back, or if the tone feels differently, or the silence grew too long. And this is what I say about consistency. When we're accustomed to certain behaviors, when it changes, we notice it. Now, I'm not the one to basically call it out, right? Because I'm also learning about myself that there's certain conversations that I prefer to have in person, not FaceTime, because I can't stand FaceTime unless unless I'm not going to see you again, or unless there's not another option. But there's certain conversations that I prefer to have, like face to face, right? So that I can see your expression, because you could be on the phone talking like, yeah, and be like, I need to see like what your reaction is, and I need you to see mine also. I don't like to text certain things because I just feel as if like meh. And then I feel like with texting also, um, I think the message can sometimes get lost in translation because it all depends on the current mood of each person, right? Because then I may say something, they may say something back, and it could be taken out of context and like, and it's like too much. But then we start to wonder, like, like, was it something that I said? And you go down this whole rabbit hole of Lord Jesus, start replaying everything. Like, was I too quiet? Did I disappear too much? Again, a lot, right? Then you get to the point where you start to wonder, like, should I call? Should I text? It's a lot. It really is a lot. But what I've learned is that relationships don't always end because someone did something wrong. Sometimes they end because of growth. The rhythm changed. Like we learned that, like we may not have the things in common that we once thought we did. Um, and for me, I'm getting to the point where it's like, it's okay. Um, I feel like, and I feel like the past few years has taught me that it's okay to just allow certain things to go, because there was a point in time when I used to just sit and wonder and think and overthink and basically played it, like played and replayed in my head. And now I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Um, there's some chapters that's meant for you to experience alone, and I feel like this is that chapter for me, right? Um, the one thing that I know about me and introverts is that, like we are very empathetic, we love deeply, and we lose quietly. And when we learn, it's slow. It's slow, right? Um, but eventually we'll let it go with peace, because the right friendships, the ones built on mutual respect, laughter, and stillness, will always find their way back. They don't need chasing, they meet you right where your quiet heart is. Now, let me ask you, excuse me, have you ever felt like you were adopted by an extrovert? Um, how did do you remember how the friendship started? So I called Joyce's name a little while ago. Joyce and I, we met at work, and Joyce was a little bit older than I. Joyce had one son. She spoiled him to death, and she did not care. Joyce, I was quiet. Joyce and I were both workaholics, right? We would get to the office first. We would leave the office last. We work on the weekends, whatever have you. Again, this is years ago. I know better now. um, and I'll never forget when Joyce called to let me know that she had the C word. And but she reassured me that she was fine and everything was going to be fine. Um, but then I got the call. I'll never forget. I got the call that she had um, a little bit of time left to go, and the doctor instructed her son to, gather everyone, like anyone who wanted to come and bid her farewell. I remember I went to the hospital and she was there, and I held her hand, and um, spoke about, like some of the things that, like we did together. And I feel like sometimes we have to let them know that it's okay to go. I did that with my uncle a few years ago. So anyway, I stayed there. A few of her close friends came, but I stood around with her son because she's another one who kind of adopted me, and she would consider me her son's big sister. Big sister. Um, Joyce was there with me for a lot of my life events, and I've never found anyone like Joyce to get in my life. because true friendship, what I'm realizing now, is rare. Um, I think Joyce understood me more than I understood myself because again, I was younger. I wasn't much younger than her, um, but she's a mom. She was a mom. But anyway, um, because Joyce, like myself, didn't really have a lot of people who she shared her life with. It was me and her son who kind of like just like planned her her funeral. Excuse me. I'm gonna take a sip of water because I don't even know why I'm crying. And then the hardest part of when someone passed away is to call to let people know that the person is gone. So because of we were the work thing, I had to call our CFO, and it was so hard. It was so hard because it was on his birthday. It was on his birthday. But nevertheless, joy for me was a treasure. Joyce came with I said joy. Joyce came with me um to Jamaica, to England. She met some of the family, like when I was doing my family tree, because she was around when I started my family tree. And she participated in our family reunions that we had in Florida. But I didn't even plan to talk about Joyce. But my spirit said that, like I just needed to share. But that's how it is for us. I feel, and I think the reason why it hurts is because, like, when you find someone who cherish you and you cherish back, when it's time, when God said, "Okay, sweetie, it's time for y'all to basically separate now," that is hard. It is very hard. But as I grow older, like life becomes more meaningful to me. And now that I'm on this journey of basically discovering and understanding who I am, I'm appreciating it more. And this is why I wish that everyone would learn how to just be happy with themselves. I think that's where it begins. You cannot find happiness outside. Happiness is from in here. Happiness is from in here. I think a lot of us, try to find joy externally. I did, and it's basically in not, in a recently is when I realized that, like I have to basically depend on me, right? Because, excuse me, people have lives, like as we grow, um, we realize that our, the things that we liked together may not be the same anymore. And if there's a distance, um, and also like if the communication isn't good, because everything, in my opinion, boils down to communication. If you know how to communicate with people, you're golden. And I've worked on that, right? So I'm okay with sharing how I feel with people, but I feel as if like people are not quite there yet. And everyone is on their journey, so of course like everyone will take time to get there. And the person who you may want to consider your closely your bestie may not consider that, you may not be that play that role for them. So I'm learning like all those things. Um so there are those two, but then there are others who I feel as if one of them I felt, this is years ago too. I think after Joyce, one of them I really felt abandoned by. But I feel like if it's just life gets in the way, and then like life choices, blah blah blah. Um, but nevertheless, I feel like when I look back, I appreciate the memories that I share with certain people, because for the most part, like they're all good memories, right? The ending isn't so good, but in order to welcome new things, you have to basically just know how to let it go. And I am learning how to let it go. um, so yeah, that I feel like that's how it is. Now, so another question. If you are an introvert, how do you usually show love or maintain friendships um through words, time, or simply just being there? Because for me, it's all of the above. I mean, time. I like this. The people who I connect with, I really love to spend time with, like quality time. And that time could be sitting on a chair, not saying anything and being fine with it. Like, and that's how it was with Mark, right? Where we would just be, just sitting in the front room, my aunt's at my aunt's house. Sometimes not talking about anything because I'm just now learning how to have conversations. Back then, I was very quiet. I used to be, and then because we live, far apart, then we didn't have much to talk about, aside from family or certain experiences. And back then, I wasn't trying to share much about anything because I didn't know how to communicate. But we appreciated just being in each other's presence. Now, for my extrovert viewers, have you ever adopted an introvert? What drew you to them? Did you feel sorry for them? Were they in a corner you were thinking, oh, poor baby, let me go and talk to her, it? Is that what happened? And how did it work out for you? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Um, so I didn't mean to come on to cry today, but I realized that this journey, and me choosing to come on to YouTube, I'm making a commitment to myself to basically show up, right? I'm making a commitment to myself to basically share my experience because I feel as if like that's how this thing is going to work. This is how I'm growing because when I tell you that these past 30, yeah, we're on day 30 now. These past 30 days of me showing up daily made me grow in ways that I never thought possible. I look back at some of the videos and I think I'm quite funny actually, but not everybody will. But that's y'all problem if y'all don't think I'm funny. I think I'm funny. Um, and I'm hoping that my message will resonate with someone because the way that this thing called life works, we didn't come with an instruction manual. Like we do have a GPS, is basically God's protection service, right? But we didn't get a book that says Unlocking the Introvert, a pocket guide to understanding and interacting with introverts, because I just wrote it last year. um, but what we do have is other people's experiences, right? So whether talking to someone on the street, because sometimes you can learn by someone in the grocery store. We don't do small talk, but sometimes if you're on the line and we start to talk about, because sometimes we can have a real conversation on the line. um but as we're growing along, growing, not going, as we're growing along, we learn from each other. We come on social media, we see certain videos, and that's how we learn how to do XYZ, right? So basically, how to navigate social media as an introvert. I did that. um, which I'll share in another video. But the whole purpose, I believe, of this whole YouTube experience is to connect with people, is to from afar, well, behind the screen, how and learn things. I use YouTube for everything. I use YouTube to for my entertainment. I use YouTube to learn how to do certain things. This is how I learned how to do my videos, to do um my thumbnails. When I first started, and I saw a video and they said, "Oh, your thumbnails are important." I'm like, man, I don't know daggone thumbnails. Thinks waste time, wasting my time. But but then eventually I realized, oh, wait a second. No, it is important because when people are scrolling, they're gonna want to see what it is because there are more and more people, getting on these platforms every day and basically, creating content. And so if you're scrolling along, you would want to know what that video was about, because if you just see somebody, they're like, you may click, you may not, who knows? But so I'm making myself a commitment to basically come on and share my true experience, um, without giving too much, because I'm gonna basically, like cut it off at some point. But anyway, please tell me in the comments which friendship tier you relate to most, and whether you're the adopter or the adoptee. I'm the adoptee. I'm just saying. People adopt me, and it's fine. It's fine if they, oh, sweetie, you need a friend. Maybe. But I only drink water. I mean, I'm a little weird. And then they'll say, so am I. We'll be like, yay. So, right. So please do not forget to grab a copy of my book, Unlocking the Introvert, a pocket guide to understanding and interacting with introverts. It's full of like little insights and reflections that will help you to understand yourself a little better. And what I suggest is that you buy two, one for you and for a friend that's extrovert, so that they can understand you better. Just saying. Anyway, please remember that peace isn't a place, it's a choice. Please stay blissful, and I will. Oh, don't forget to comment below, like. Please also subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet. And I will see you next time. Bye, Violet Crow. Thank you for chilling with me today.